as you settle comfortably into your place of rest. Allow your body to release the quiet tension of the day and fall into a slow, gentle rhythm. In these calm moments before sleep takes hold, the visual world around us softly recedes, and as the picture gently fades to darkness after the opening card, we settle together into a soothing journey back through time. Tonight, we wander back to a quieter era to trace the tender beginnings of a ritual that would eventually span continents and bring millions together over shared warmth. Imagine a peaceful evening long ago, when the night sky stretched wide and serene above ancient trade routes, where soft sea breezes swept across coastal sands, and where warm infusions offered comfort, clarity, and quiet repose to nighttime travelers. Let your breath remain deep and easy as we begin. Our story opens along the peaceful shores of Arabia, where the desert meets the quiet tides of the Red Sea. In the mid-15th century, in the Yemeni port of Al-Mukha, Sufi mystics gathered in quiet coastal sanctuaries around glowing braziers, sipping warm infusions brewed from whole coffee cherries to aid peaceful midnight contemplation beneath starlit skies. The soft embers cast a steady, comforting glow against the cool night air, sending subtle trails of aromatic steam into the darkness. Known locally as kisher, this gentle brew made from the outer fruit offered a mild, calming sustenance for hours of quiet prayer and reflection. Outside, the rhythm of the waves lapped gently against the harbor stone, whispering in harmony with the peaceful silence of the gathering, marking the quiet cradle of a practice that would slowly travel far beyond those starlit Yemeni shores. As the decades unfolded, this gentle tradition carried northward along trade routes into the bustling, yet serene centers of Islamic learning and culture. In the early 16th century, near Cairo's Al-Azhar Mosque, scholars and mystics gathered in neighborhood qahveh sanctuaries after twilight, drinking warm coffee from small clay bowls while listening to the rhythmic rustle of palm trees outside. These early qahveh gathering places provided a welcoming refuge after the work of the day had drawn to a close, illuminated by the warm, amber flicker of oil lamps. Resting their hands around simple earthen vessels, patrons enjoyed the soothing warmth of the brew while engaging in low, measured conversations about philosophy, poetry, and the cosmos. The soft rustle of the evening breeze through the palm fronds overhead created a restful backdrop, anchoring the community in a shared sense of peaceful presence and quiet fellowship. In these early sanctuaries of Arabia and Egypt, the simple act of preparing and partaking in a warm cup became far more than mere refreshment. It was an invitation to pause, reflect, and rest. The quiet hum of voices and the gentle warmth held in small clay bowls laid the foundation for a culture of gathering that would slowly ripple across distant cities and lands. As we leave these tranquil nights behind for now, let the calming memory of glowing braziers, rustling palm leaves, and starlit skies linger gently in your mind. Allow your thoughts to grow heavy and peaceful, resting easily in the quiet stillness as sleep draws near. As dusk began to settle over the ancient stone city of Damascus, the dry heat of the Syrian afternoon gave way to a soft and merciful cool. The waters of the Barada River glided quietly through the verdant oasis surrounding the city, their steady, liquid rhythm mirroring the slow, natural unwinding of the day. For centuries, travelers following the long trade routes across desert sands had sought refuge within these historic walls, seeking rest for weary limbs and quiet for overstimulated minds. In the early decades of the 16th century, a new kind of sanctuary began to emerge alongside the traditional inns and bustling bazaars. It was a space designed not for hasty commerce or high-spirited revelry, but for quiet reflection, steady companionship, and the shared enjoyment of a warm, comforting brew. Here, amidst the gentle murmur of flowing water and the whisper of evening breezes moving through the surrounding poplar trees, people found a peaceful threshold between the active demands of daylight and the deep stillness of the night. In 1530, Syria's first public coffeehouse opened along the Barada River in Damascus, where evening travelers rested on woven reed mats, sipping coffee, brewed slowly over olive wood embers in copper pots. This tranquil establishment offered a gentle refuge where the simple act of gathering took on a deliberate, unhurried pace. Beneath open wooden canopies framed against the starlit twilight, visitors settled comfortably onto the natural fiber mats, letting the stored tension of long journeys melt into the soft ground beneath them. Lanterns cast a warm, golden radiance across the waterside terrace, while the soft clinking of small ceramic cups mingled with the quiet murmurs of low, calm voices sharing restful stories of distant lands. The copper pots, dark with age and polished by years of careful use, sat nested amidst the glowing coals, absorbing the gentle heat with patient grace. Each batch was prepared with meticulous patience, allowing the dark roast to steep slowly until its rich, toasted fragrance filled the cool night air, offering a deep sense of welcoming comfort to all who paused by the river's edge. The choice of fuel added its own subtle character to these soothing evening rituals, as olive wood burned with a steady, quiet flame and a mild, sweet aroma that harmonized beautifully with the rich, earthy tones of the coffee. Unlike quick-burning brushwood, the dense embers maintained a soft, constant heat, ensuring that the liquid within the burnished copper vessels never boiled boisterously, but rather hummed with a gentle, soothing simmer. As travelers raised their small cups to their lips, taking slow and mindful sips, the lingering warmth settled deep within them, easing the day's physical tiredness and encouraging a quiet state of tranquil contentment. The coffee house along the Barada was far more than a simple place of drink. It marked a subtle, meaningful shift in how community was cultivated across the Old World. It established a timeless tradition of peaceful gathering, where the simple pleasure of a warm beverage offered a sanctuary of calm beneath the vast sky, gently guiding weary minds toward a restful night of sleep. As the 16th century gently unfolded across trade routes connecting distant lands, the deep appreciation for coffee drifted gracefully beyond private homes and monastic sanctuaries into the soothing, unhurried rhythms of urban life. The comforting, rich aroma of freshly ground beans found a natural home along the historic, winding thoroughfares of Istanbul, where weary travelers, local artisans, and passing scholars sought a peaceful interlude amidst their busy daily routines. In these welcoming public refuges, people discovered a tranquil space to slow their thoughts, rest their weary feet after long travels, and engage in quiet conversation while watching the soft shadows lengthen across sunlit stone pathways. The practice of gathering over a warm beverage expanded naturally throughout the growing region, fostering a gentle sense of community grounded in genuine hospitality, soft reflection, and shared stillness. This emerging tradition created a serene sanctuary within the heart of the city, where the simple, deliberate ritual of brewing became a quiet, enduring invitation to pause, unwind, and enjoy the beauty of each passing moment. This gentle culture reached a historical milestone in 1555, when two visionaries brought their cherished regional traditions to the vibrant heart of the Ottoman Empire. In 1555, two merchants named Hakam from Aleppo and Shams from Damascus opened the first public coffeehouse in Istanbul's Tadakil district, where patrons rested on carpet-covered wooden benches beneath shaded trellises, listening to soft lute music while sipping warm cardamom-infused brew. The soft, soothing strains of stringed instruments drifted through the dappled sunlight, weaving seamlessly with the quiet clink of porcelain cups and the gentle murmurs of friendly conversation. Visitors from every walk of life found solace under the leafy canopies, taking slow, rhythmic breaths as the spicy, intoxicating fragrance of cardamom drifted lazily on the warm afternoon breeze. The space was intentionally crafted for total ease and quiet contemplation, offering a tranquil sanctuary tucked away from the bustling movement of the nearby marketplace. Here, unhurried hours passed like quiet water in a gentle stream, allowing tired minds to unburden themselves in a peaceful environment where warmth, music, and quiet friendship bloomed naturally under the cool, protective shade of green trellises. Farther to the east, across the rolling hills and quiet, sun-dappled plains of Safavid Persia, a similarly harmonious tradition blossomed under thoughtful royal patronage. In the early 17th century, along Isfahan's Naqshi Jahan Square, Shah Abbas I built 6 domed coffeehouses featuring central marble pools, where quiet water fountains bubbled as poets and storytellers recited verses over warm cups of spiced coffee. The rhythmic sound of water cascading gently into cool marble created a deeply soothing acoustic backdrop, calming the wandering thoughts of all who gathered under the grand, towering arched domes. Soft, golden lamplight reflected gently upon the water's surface, casting serene ripples across polished stones as spoken words echoed lightly and sweetly through the cool evening air. The delicate aroma of spices mingled with the refreshing mist of the fountains, inviting patrons to sink deeply into effortless tranquility as night softly settled over the expansive plaza. In these elegant domed sanctuaries, art, literature, and restful repose intertwined seamlessly, crafting a timeless legacy of enduring peace, warm hospitality, and quiet human connection that carried listeners gently away toward a deep, restorative, and dreamless sleep. As evening settled over the quiet river valleys and cobbled lanes of 17th century England, a new custom began to softly take root in the university towns and bustling ports. The chill of the damp night air was met with the comforting warmth of simple rooms filled with the deep, rich aroma of roasted coffee beans. Across the seas, travelers and merchants had long admired how a modest bowl of dark brew could steady the spirit and invite thoughtful, calm conversation. In Oxford, where ancient stone colleges rose into the twilight, this fragrant tradition found its very first English sanctuary. Here, away from the clatter of coaches and the sharp winds of autumn, scholars found a serene refuge to unwind, speak in measured tones, and let their curious minds wander through the mysteries of the natural world. The atmosphere inside these early gathering places was uniquely gentle, inviting anyone who sought quiet focus or warm company. Established in 1650 by an Ottoman trader named Jacob at the Angel Inn in Oxford, England's earliest coffeehouse provided a peaceful haven where scholars like Robert Hooke studied celestial globes by soft candlelight. In this tranquil room, illuminated by the flicker of tallow flames and the soft glow of hearth coals, brass instruments glinted softly, and heavy leather-bound volumes lay open upon smooth oak desks. The quiet scratching of quills was punctuated only by the occasional clinking of ceramic cups and the soft sigh of steam rising into the high-ceilinged air. It was a space free from pretension, where the study of distant stars, the tracking of planetary orbits, and the gentle laws of mechanics could be pondered without distraction, allowing the steady rhythm of inquiry to mirror the quiet breathing of the sleeping town outside. Word of this cozy, comforting culture soon drifted eastward down the Thames, drawing the attention of thinkers, writers, and curious dreamers in the heart of London. Within 2 short years, hidden among the narrow, winding lanes near the grand church spires, another warm refuge opened its heavy wooden doors to the misty evening air. In 1652, a servant named Pasqua Risset established London's first coffeehouse in St. Michael's Alley, charging a single penny for entry so natural philosophers and poets could gather around glowing hearths and low-lit timber tables. just a copper coin, any passerby could step out of the cool dampness into a world of inclusive fellowship and soft-spoken reflection. The modest entrance fee welcomed individuals from every walk of life, creating a quiet sanctuary where social boundaries melted away in the gentle heat of the fire. Inside these humble timbered rooms, the gentle rustle of broadsheets and the murmur of quiet discussion created a soothing backdrop for evening rest. Natural philosophers debated the unseen properties of air and light, while poets quietly penned lines of verse beside the embers, their thoughts drifting with the rising tendrils of fragrant steam. The warm cup held in two hands offered a soothing focal point, grounding the weary traveler or studious philosopher in the quiet comfort of the present moment. As the night deepened and the outer world grew silent, these early English coffeehouses remained beacons of calm intellect and human connection, holding the quiet promise of shared knowledge, peaceful contemplation, and restful ease. As twilight drifted softly over the damp brick thoroughfares of northwestern Europe, the great port cities settled into their tranquil nighttime rhythms. In the 17th century, the waterways of the Netherlands carried not only merchant fleets laden with spices and silks, but also a quiet sense of curiosity that drifted gently through the evening air along the water's edge, where heavy timber hulls rocked in slow, rhythmic cadence against dark wooden piers. The cool sea breeze whispered past gable-fronted houses. The city was accustomed to receiving treasures from afar. Yet among all the exotic goods brought across wide oceans, few transformed evening gatherings quite like the dark, fragrant coffee bean. Across the peaceful harbor, soft light from leaded window panes spilled onto mist-veiled cobbles, beckoning weary mariners and citizens toward the comforting warmth of newly established meeting places that offered shelter from the northern damp. It was within this serene maritime atmosphere that coffee established its first quiet footprint in the Low Countries. In 1665, Amsterdam's earliest documented coffeehouse opened near the city's quiet canal docks, offering Dutch East India Company merchants warm cups of freshly roasted coffee, served beside glowing tallow candles and soft velvet cushions. Inside these cozy rooms, the rich scent of freshly ground beans mingled naturally with the faint, comforting aroma of wood smoke. Soft tallow flames cast golden light upon polished oak tables, softening the shadows and illuminating the tired faces of men who had spent their day navigating distant seas. The plush velvet cushions provided a gentle touch of luxury, inviting guests to lean back and let the quiet warmth of the room wash over them. With every slow, measured sip, the crisp chill of the harbor seemed to recede into the distance, replaced by a lingering sense of rest and quiet camaraderie. These early Dutch establishments offered an atmosphere of quiet contemplation, far removed from the clamorous taverns of earlier eras. Here, conversation moved at an easy, unhurried pace, echoing softly against dark wood paneling, while steam rose lazily from shallow cups. Merchants sat alongside scholars and cartographers, discussing maps of uncharted coastlines or sharing news brought by arriving ships, their voices hushed to respect the calm mood of the evening. The rhythmic dripping of candle wax and the soft rustle of heavy wool coats created a soothing tapestry of sound, lulling visitors into a state of relaxed mindfulness. Outside, the canals reflected the pale moon as it glided across the Dutch sky, its silent light shimmering upon the still water. Inside, the simple pleasure of a warm beverage provided a comforting anchor, grounding all who entered in the quiet beauty of the present moment. As the night deepened and the city fully surrendered to rest, the soft glow behind the leaded glass windows slowly dimmed. The coffee house near the docks stood as a peaceful bridge between distant tropical lands and the calm nights of the North Sea. Guests eventually stepped out into the cool air, wrapped in heavy cloaks, carrying with them the lingering warmth of roast coffee and soft candlelight. The canal waters continued their gentle, rhythmic lap against the mossy stones, lulling the entire city toward sleep, while the legacy of these peaceful gathering places settled into the quiet fabric of European life. As twilight fell across the expanding trading routes of Western Europe, the gentle hum of maritime commerce drifted inward from the sea, bringing quiet curiosities from distant shores. The coastal air carried a slow, rhythmic cadence, where heavy wooden hulls rocked gently against stone quays, and evening breezes smoothed the surface of calm waters. Ships returning from long journeys laid down their canvas sails, releasing their rich cargoes into cool harbor storehouses as the sun slipped below the horizon. Among the wooden crates and aromatic spices came a new ritual of rest, finding a home within the port cities that served as gateways to the continent. Here, along the winding stone paths of coastal towns, the dark infusion began to establish its quiet presence, offering weary travelers a welcoming retreat from the damp evening chill. The gathering places that emerged were soft sanctuaries of warmth, where the day's labors gave way to steady conversation, flickering candlelight, and the soothing perfume of freshly ground beans. In the south of France, where the Mediterranean Sea gently caresses ancient stone piers, this welcoming tradition took deep root amidst the serene rhythms of harbor life. In 1671, the port of Marseille opened France's first public coffeehouse near its quiet harbor, where merchants rested on velvet cushions surrounded by burlap sacks of green coffee beans and dried lavender. Inside this tranquil haven, the delicate scent of coastal flora mingled seamlessly with the rich, earthy notes of unroasted beans resting in heavy woven bags stacked along the walls. Soft fabrics offered a comforting respite for tired limbs, while outside, the low, melodic sound of water lapping against timber hulls rhythmically lulled the evening to sleep. Visitors leaned back into the plush surroundings, watching steam rise slowly from porcelain cups into thin ribbons in the warm air. The space served as a peaceful refuge where sea-weary travelers could unwind, listen to the gentle murmur of shared stories, and let the quietude of the harbor envelope their thoughts like a warm blanket. Further north, where autumn mists rolled over riverbanks and chilly winds swept through ancient Hanseatic trade routes, a similar sanctuary blossomed within the sturdy architecture of northern ports. In 1673, Germany's earliest coffeehouse opened within the Hansa port of Bremen, where merchants rested beside warmth-radiating tile stoves and sipped dark, spiced coffee sweetened with clear rock sugar. Within these timber-framed walls, the glowing heat from ornate ceramic tiles pushed away the damp frost of the northern evening, creating an atmosphere of deep, restorative comfort. The dark brew was served in thick ceramic mugs, infused with subtle spices that quieted the mind, while clear amber crystals of sugar dissolved slowly with a faint, pleasing clink against the cup. Merchants relaxed their shoulders after long hours on cold docks, holding the comforting vessels between their palms and watching the gentle embers flicker within the stove. Across these diverse European shores, from southern harbors bathed in lavender-scented dusk to northern ports cradled by glowing hearths, the coffeehouse established itself as a haven of calm within the rhythm of daily life. These early establishments offered a peaceful threshold between the demands of trade and the stillness of night, inviting all who entered to breathe deeply, savor the warm aromas, and surrender to the soothing quiet of rest. As twilight deepened over the northern trading ports, the cool maritime mist began to gather along the riverbanks, bringing a quiet, peaceful stillness to the docks. In the harbor city of Hamburg, where merchant vessels rested after long journeys across gray, rolling waters, a new kind of sanctuary began to emerge within the soft glow of evening light. In 1677, an English merchant opened the first public coffeehouse in the port city of Hamburg, serving dark brewed coffee from polished pewter pots to weary shipmasters resting beside quiet oil lamps near the Elbe River. Inside this serene haven, the gentle murmur of low voices blended naturally with the soft steam rising from heavy vessels, creating an atmosphere of deep rest and thoughtful contemplation. Captains and traders sat together in comfortable wooden nooks, cradling warm pewter cups in their hands while watching the slow reflection of lamplight dance across the dark water outside. The comforting, rich scent of roasted coffee beans drifted lazily through the cool night air, offering welcome warmth and quiet solace to travelers who had spent weeks guided only by the stars and the tide. Outside, the steady lap of river water against the wooden pilings rhythmically lulled the city toward sleep, while inside, the warmth of the hearth kept the chill of the northern coast at bay. As the years unfolded, this tranquil ritual of shared warmth spread steadily southward, following peaceful inland trade routes across the heart of Europe. Across rolling hills and ancient stone towns, communities began to embrace the quiet pause that accompanied a warm cup at the close of day. In the historic city of Vienna, where grand architectural traditions met the gentle rhythms of daily life, coffee found an exceptionally refined home. In 1685, the Armenian merchant Johannes Diodato received Vienna's first imperial coffee privilege, serving filtered dark roasts sweetened with honey and spoonfuls of fresh cream in a quiet vaulted hall. Within these graceful, arched chambers, time seemed to slow down to a peaceful crawl. Soft candlelight bathed the stone pillars in golden tones, while guests sat in relaxed quietude, listening to the delicate clink of silver spoons mixing golden honey into rich, dark brews. The natural sweetness of local honey balanced the deep roasted tones, while fresh cream softened every gentle sip, turning each cup into a soothing, velvet-like blend that eased the mind after long hours of labor. These early gathering places provided far more than mere warmth. They established a timeless culture of unhurried reflection and gentle companionship. Under the high, vaulted ceilings of Vienna and beside the damp docks of Hamburg, strangers sat side by side, united by the subtle comfort of a warm beverage on a cool night. The steady drip of filtered coffee and the aromatic embrace of dark roasts created a tranquil sanctuary where the worries of the working day could be softly set aside. As night fully settled over the continent, casting a blanket of darkness across river ports and imperial palaces alike, these welcoming establishments offered a soft transition into restful slumber. The glowing lamps inside the coffeehouses served as beacons of peace, welcoming all who sought a quiet moment of calm before retreating into the deep, restorative stillness of the night. As evening settled over the stone streets of Paris in the late 17th century, the city began to breathe in a different, slower rhythm. The sharp edges of daylight softened into twilight, casting long blue shadows across the Seine and drawing passers-by into the warm glow of neighborhood windows. In this tranquil hour, a new kind of social sanctuary was quietly taking root amidst the grand avenues and quiet lanes. Unlike the noisy taverns of old, where laughter rang out over heavy pewter tankards, these new establishments offered a gentler retreat. Here, the soothing aroma of freshly roasted coffee beans drifted through high-arched doorways, inviting thinkers, poets, and weary travelers to step out of the evening chill and into spaces designed for quiet contemplation. The ambient warmth of burning candles created an atmosphere of quiet dignity, where the simple act of sipping a warm beverage became a peaceful avenue for rest, shared ideas, and serene reflection. Among these emerging sanctuaries of conversation, one establishment in particular captured the imagination of Parisian society with its unmatched elegance and refined comfort. In 1686, Sicilian confectioner Francesco Procopio de Coltelli established Café Procope in Paris, serving coffee in translucent porcelain cups beneath crystal chandeliers and gilded mirrors to quiet literary patrons. The soft, flickering light from the overhead crystals danced across polished mahogany tables, while the expansive mirrors reflected the calm figures of philosophers, playwrights, and scholars engaged in hushed, earnest dialogue. Instead of coarse stoneware, the delicate porcelain allowed the deep, dark color of the brew to show through, transforming coffee drinking into an aesthetic ritual of elegance and calm. Patrons sat comfortably in upholstered chairs, leaning forward to share low-spoken thoughts on philosophy, theater, and science, gently lulled by the subtle clinking of spoons and the rhythmic rustle of paper pages. This gentle elegance reflected a broader transformation in how European culture approached social gathering and evening discourse. Procopio, drawing upon his background as a master confectioner, brought a uniquely delicate sensibility to the preparation and presentation of his coffee. Alongside the dark, fragrant infusion, patrons were served sweet sorbets, candied fruits, and subtle syrups, creating a harmonious balance between rich flavors and delicate sweetness. The soft hum of voices in the cafe provided a comforting backdrop to the steady flow of ideas, replacing the boisterous energy of traditional taverns with an enduring atmosphere of thoughtful composure. Within these quiet rooms, time seemed to slow down, allowing minds weary from the demands of the day to find solace in the gentle cadence of intellectual fellowship and shared quietude. As the night deepened outside, the warm light within Café Procope continued to glow like a beacon of stillness amidst the sleeping city. The tradition established within its walls spread quietly outward, helping to define the coffeehouse not merely as a place of refreshment, but as a true sanctuary for the human mind. In the soft light of gilded mirrors and crystal fixtures, patrons found a peaceful harbor where thoughts could settle like falling leaves. Long after the last porcelain cup was set down and the final candles were extinguished, the gentle spirit of the coffeehouse remained, promising warmth, calm, and quiet companionship to all who entered its welcoming doors. As dusk fell gently over the winding lanes of London in the late 17th century, the city's coffeehouses became quiet sanctuaries of light and warmth. Along the shadowy thoroughfares near the River Thames, the evening air carried the subtle scents of roasting beans, wood smoke, and damp cobblestones. It was in these peaceful, dimly lit rooms that sailors and merchants gathered after long days spent observing the tides and navigating distant seas. Established in 1688 along London's quiet Tower Street, Lloyd's Coffee House provided shipmasters and merchants with soft tallow candle lighting, while they recorded vessel movements in leather-bound logbooks over steaming dishes of brew. Inside, the atmosphere was remarkably serene, defined by the low murmur of quiet conversation and the soft scratching of iron gall quills across thick rag paper. The warm amber flame of each candle flickered against dark oak paneling, casting long, peaceful shadows along the tables. Here, the vast, unpredictable expanses of the world's oceans were distilled into steady columns of ink, tracking arrivals, departures, and cargo details with methodical, reassuring order. Patrons lifted warm ceramic dishes to their lips, savoring the comforting bitterness of dark coffee, while listening to the calm rhythm of news brought in from distant ports. The coffeehouse acted as a gentle anchor, grounding weary travelers in a calm space of shared purpose and reflective quiet. Beyond the maritime gathering spots, other coffee establishments across London cultivated their own distinct rhythms of calm intellectual discourse and creative expression. In the quiet heart of the city's literary district, where evening shadows lengthened across cobblestone streets, patrons sought out spaces designed for peaceful thought and literary fellowship. In 1713, proprietor Daniel Button mounted a carved marble lion's head sculpture onto the wall of Button's Coffeehouse on Russell Street in London, serving as a quiet letterbox where patrons slipped handwritten essays into its open jaw for publication. This whimsical yet stately guardian stood silently beside the doorway, receiving musings, poems, and philosophical observations from writers who wished to share their thoughts with the broader public. The simple act of sliding a folded paper into the marble lion created a tranquil connection between private introspection and public conversation. Within the house, visitors sat comfortably in tall wooden booths, sipping warm coffee as they read freshly printed sheets or engaged in soft-spoken commentary on the day's essays. The lion's open jaw offered a silent invitation to reflect, observe, and contribute to a growing tapestry of human thought without the need for noise or urgency. These early coffee establishments were far more than places of business. They served as restful havens where the pace of daily life slowed to a comforting cadence. Under the soothing illumination of lanterns and candles, people found a sense of belonging in shared silence and thoughtful dialogue. The steady trickle of brew into earthenware mugs mirrored the gentle flow of ideas, creating an environment where curiosity was nurtured without pretense. As the midnight hour approached and the city outside settled into sleep, the soft glow from coffeehouse windows remained a beacon of warmth. The leather-bound logbooks rested closed upon polished tables, and the marble lion kept its tranquil sentinel watch in the dim hallway. In these quiet spaces, the simple act of gathering over a warm drink bound neighbors and strangers alike into a peaceful rhythm, easing the mind and welcoming the stillness of the night. As twilight deepened across the historic contours of Central Europe, the gentle ritual of coffee found serene new homes within the sound-softening stone archways of ancient cities. In the shadow of grand Gothic spires, where evening mist rose softly from winding riverbanks, travelers and townspeople alike sought the comforting warmth of dimly lit gathering places. In 1714, a Syrian trader named Georgius Diodatus opened Prague's first public coffeehouse at the Golden Snake near the Charles Bridge, offering patrons spiced Ottoman coffee inside a quiet vaulted chamber. Within those thick masonry walls, the rich scent of cardamom, cloves, and finely ground dark beans drifted through the tranquil air, mingling with the slow, steady rise of steam from traditional copper pots. Outside, the cool waters of the Vltava River brushed gently against centuries-old stone piers, while inside, weary wanderers wrapped themselves in quiet solitude, cradling small porcelain cups of aromatic brew that offered warmth against the evening chill. The peaceful chamber served as a comforting haven where Eastern traditions dissolved softly into the restful fabric of Central European life, inviting all who entered to set down their burdens and simply rest. Further south, where continental winds yielded to the softer tides of the Mediterranean basin, coffee culture blossomed beneath elegant stone colonnades and open sky. In Venice, a city woven from quiet waterways and softly shimmering reflections, the fading sunlight painted grand stone facades in shades of warm rose, amber, and muted gold. Opened in 1720 under the quiet marble arcades of St. Mark's Square in Venice, Café Florian served coffee gently sweetened with syrups and cooled with alpine snow, while patrons watched gondolas drift along dusklit waters. The soothing, rhythmic clink of silver spoons against fine porcelain drifted outward from beneath the shaded porticos, harmonizing with the gentle, repetitive lap of water against stone steps. Patrons reclined comfortably upon velvet benches, watching the calm progression of evening as dusk slowly gave way to a vast canopy of quiet stars. The delicate sweetness of fruit syrups and the pristine chill of mountain snow brought a delightful, cooling contrast to the deep richness of the roasted coffee, transforming every sip into a moment of pure, restful stillness. In these early European establishments, the passage of time seemed to slow to the calm, steady pace of a quiet breath. Whether nestled beneath the stone arches of Prague or resting under the grand marble colonnades of Venice, coffeehouses blossomed into gentle refuges where the noise and hurry of urban life softly melted away. They provided space not for frantic commotion or busy trade, but for quiet reflection, soft conversation, and restful observation. Lanterns cast long, soothing shadows across polished wood and cool flagstone, wrapping each visitor in a blanket of calm contentment. As the stars moved across the night sky, these peaceful spaces held open their doors as quiet sanctuaries, teaching city dwellers the gentle art of pausing, breathing deeply, and letting the quiet of the evening settle over mind and body. As evening settled over the cobbled avenues of 18th century Leipzig, the bustling energy of the daytime market slowly yielded to a soothing twilight calm. The air, crisp and cool, with the gentle evening breeze of autumn in Saxony, carried the comforting aroma of freshly roasted beans through the darkening streets. Inside the warmly lit coffee establishments that graced the city's heart, tall paned glass windows reflected the soft, steady flicker of candlelight, offering an inviting sanctuary of quiet warmth to passers-by drifting through the dusk. Townspeople, scholars, and traveling merchants stepped across worn oak thresholds, seeking not merely a warm beverage, but a gentle, unhurried space to unburden their minds after a long day of labor and study. The soft, rhythmic murmur of low voices blended effortlessly with the steady ticking of long case clocks and the quiet, metallic clink of spoons against porcelain saucers, creating an all-encompassing atmosphere of profound restfulness. In these welcoming halls, the dark, steaming brew served as a quiet invitation to slow down, encouraging deep reflection as the night drew its soft, protective blanket over the peaceful city. Among these cherished evening sanctuaries, Gottfried Zimmermann's renowned coffeehouse on Catherine and Strasse held a particularly special place in the cultural rhythm of local life. During the 1730s, Gottfried Zimmermann hosted Johann Sebastian Bach's musical ensemble every Friday evening in Leipzig, where patrons quietly savored hot roasted coffee while listening to peaceful string concertos. As the ensemble's skilled musicians drew their wooden bows smoothly across the strings, a rich, resonant harmony filled the timbered room, weaving gentle melodies through the delicate coils of steam rising from silver pots and ceramic cups. Listeners sat together in tranquil contentment, letting the measured, mathematical beauty of the Baroque music wash over them, while the deep, reassuring warmth of the roasted beverage offered a gentle sensory comfort to body and mind. There was no haste within these Friday gatherings, only a shared, silent appreciation for simple, refined pleasures. The intricate counterpoint of violins, violas, and cellos moved like flowing water through the hall, wrapping every guest in a restorative blanket of peaceful acoustics that lulled every remaining care of the day into quiet stillness. This harmonious pairing of instrumental beauty and warm coffee reflected a subtle transformation taking place throughout Europe, where public gathering places were gently redefined as havens of art, composure, learning, and civilized rest. The coffeehouse had blossomed into something far more than a simple establishment for refreshment. It had become a quiet refuge where the human spirit could wander freely among soft musical notes, thoughtful conversations, and serene solitude. As the final movement of a concerto gently drew to its peaceful close, the last reverberations melted softly into the warm air of the hall, leaving behind a lingering stillness as comforting and reassuring as a quiet lullaby. Patrons lingered to savor their final sip, feeling the soothing warmth rest deep within them before quietly gathering their coats to return home. Stepping out into the cool, refreshing night under a wide, starry canopy, they walked along silent cobblestone paths, carrying the serene, lasting calm of the coffeehouse with them as the historic city of Leipzig slept peacefully under the soft glow of the moonlight, gently drifting into deep and undisturbed rest. As the soft golden light of dusk settled across the historic streets of Italy, coffeehouses gracefully assumed their role as enduring sanctuaries of calm, offering refuge to weary travelers, dreamers, and evening souls seeking quiet solace. Founded in 1760 by Nicola della Madonna on Rome's Via dei Condotti, the Antico Cafe Greco served hot black coffee in heavy porcelain cups to wandering painters and poets resting on plush crimson banquettes. Within its dimly lit rooms, surrounded by classical marble busts and gilded mirrors, the energetic chatter of the city slowed to a serene, hushed whisper. The deep scent of roasted coffee beans drifted lazily through the warm air, intermingling with the delicate rustle of parchment notebooks and the soft clink of porcelain saucers. Hours seemed to gently stretch and dissolve into an atmosphere of unhurried ease, allowing restless minds to settle into peaceful contemplation as the world outside slowed to a quiet crawl. Further north, nestled amid the elegant arcades of Piedmont, another beloved establishment offered its own distinctive warmth to quiet thinkers. Founded in 1763 by Giuseppe Dentes opposite the Sanctuary of the Consolata in Turin, Cafe Al-Bisarin served warm layers of fresh espresso, melted dark chocolate, and heavy whipped cream in clear glass goblets to quiet morning patrons. Through the historic wood-framed windows, the ancient stone facade of the sanctuary captured the soft sunlight, while inside, each carefully crafted beverage provided a tiny ritual of stillness. The visual beauty of the distinct layers, dark chocolate beneath rich espresso, and topped with velvety cream, offered a comforting balance of warmth. It was a gentle invitation to set aside the burdens of the waking world, allowing a feeling of deep contentment to wash over everyone who sat within its cozy wooden interior. Across the centuries, these European coffeehouses became far more than mere gathering places. They evolved into gentle harbors where ideas could quietly take root without pressure or haste. Whether in the grand coffee halls of Vienna, the historic taverns of London, or the intimate parlors of Italy, these spaces provided a rare balance of quiet companionship and solitary peace. People gathered not to hurry, but to linger, to watch the steam rise slowly from their cups, to read by the soft glow of lantern light, and to listen to the gentle cadence of shared conversation. In an ever-changing world, the coffeehouse remained a constant, reassuring haven, preserving a rhythm of life that honored rest, reflection, and the simple comfort of a hot drink. Now, as deep night settles fully over the old world, the remaining candles within these historic sanctuaries are softly snuffed, leaving behind a profound legacy of tranquility. The quiet cobblestone streets outside grow still beneath a vast blanket of velvet darkness. All the vibrant energy of centuries past fades into a calm, reverent silence. The comforting warmth of the cup remains as a gentle memory, anchoring the spirit in a feeling of peaceful safety. Allow your breathing to slow, easing into the tranquil rhythm of these timeless rooms as they rest in the shadowy calm. May your mind rest just as easily, drifting serenely into a deep, restorative sleep, cradled by the quiet heritage of the world's most peaceful retreats.